Welcome to Live Arts 30 and 30. And now for your host, Linda Zuby.
My name is Linda Zuby, and I'm on staff here at Live Arts. And tonight, we will be doing the 2004-2005 season as a part of 30 plays and 30 days, a Live Arts retrospective. And tonight, it's Babe Night. You got me behind the screen there. You got Shannon Montague, and our guests tonight are Boomie Pedersen and Carol Pedersen. Babe Night. Anyway, before we get started, I want to give a special shout out tonight to our fellow community theater partners, because we are all in the same boat. We're all in this together. So shout out to the Hamner Theater, Four County Players, Charlottesville Players Guild, Guerrilla Theater, and DMR. Arts are important, and all of these organizations, we've all worked together in the past, and we're going to continue to push forward and forge ahead and keep theater in our lives. Very important. Yay. And since I have a Boomie and a Carol tonight, got my red wine. All right, so I would like to bring Boomie and Carol into the picture to join us. Hello, ladies.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, here we are.
Toast. Carol.
Hey,
Toast.
there you go.
I already finished mine.
Boomie.
I'm sorry.
She had
I'll get a little bit more.
Very good. All right. So, Boomie, you got into Charlottesville first. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about how you got here and how you got
I'm not going to say how I got here because
okay. Well, you know
that's a different thing. I actually arrived in 1995 and had been living in Japan, and I had been working sort of as I could in the theater over there. And
she doesn't speak Japanese.
Thank you, Mom. Anyway, my friend Sarah Sargent, who was at the time running Second Street Gallery, said, "Oh, you got to go check out this theater, Live Arts. It's great." And I believe at the time, Peter Ryan's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was on, or she had just seen it or something, but she waxed rhapsodic about Peter Ryan and said he was brilliant, which he is. And I actually just spoke to him today. And if anybody remembers Peter Ryan, he would love to hear some friendly voices. I think he's feeling pretty isolated. Anyway, so Sarah was running Second Street Gallery, and she said, "Why don't you apply for the role of artistic director?" And I said, "You must be kidding. I've been raising children in Japan." And she said, "Just do it." And so I did it to take some action to allow myself to stay here, because I did not want to go back to Japan. And I didn't really care about the outcome. And then lo and behold, I was apparently one of 3 finalists being considered, which was amazing. And then Ellen Chandler got the part, and 6 months later she was gone and John Gibson was back, but I was firmly entrenched at Live Arts, where I was a hash slinger for Kajo Fall, one of the last food shows, developed a fast relationship with Doug Schneider, hurling insults as fast as I was hurling food out into the auditorium, the theater. And then I also did a lot of bartending, I recalled. And I think
me too. Yeah.
I think I was a bartender at one of the last raves, and I had this flash of being behind the bar with Clinton Johnston, and somebody pulled a gun, and the 2 of us went down behind the bar.
Oh my God.
And I can't remember now if that actually happened, or if I imagined it, but I think it must. I can't imagine that it didn't happen. But anyway,
good story nonetheless.
Anyway, I had that memory of being a bartender at a rave. And then I was actually the volunteer coordinator for a little while, which I had forgotten. And I served on the board briefly, and I directed you in pros, cons, and ex-cons. The famous line is, "Put butter on it."
Put butter on the babka.
Put butter on it. Put butter on it.
Well, you know what I remembered after you said something the other day, I didn't get the play at all when we did it. It was one of those things. And I remember thinking, because it was part of the playoffs, for those of you who don't remember the playoffs, everybody did these shows and the audience voted on it, and then you got voted to the next week and voted, and there was a little cash prize at the end of the thing. And we kept getting voted on. And I expected us to just have to do it once.
But you had to keep doing it. But that was Clinton and Jay Taylor and you and David Kleiner, who I think at the time I thought was Charlottesville's answer to Woody Allen. He was one of the funniest human beings I
Yeah.
ever met. Anyway, so then, and then I did acting and directing, and let's see what else. I did some teaching. I did some dramaturging. I did do a little bit of producing, because we at one point did a joint production with the Hamner Theater, and we did Glengarry at Live Arts and
That's right.
it down to the Hamner, but also our American ancestors they did a lot of workshopping, rehearsing down at the Hamner.
At the
and then
Hamner, right.
Live Arts. So there was this great sort of collaborative strain between those two theaters. And I also, what else did I do? I did, that's enough about me.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And I was going through seasons, and it's like, there's a huge number of plays that I was involved in, and I'm
Yeah.
wow.
And that woman sitting next to you was involved in a play or two.
Who? Oh, her?
Oh, her.
So I wrote this all down for my mother, The Many Hats of Carol Pedersen, because she was not interested in tooting her own horn. So just take it.
No, I'm not. You
No,
tell
no,
me.
I'm saying be gracious and receive the accolades.
I will. Thank you.
So Carol came down in 2001.
Yeah.
She changed her mind the night before September 1st happened, which was when I was hoping to move her in, and I said fine. And then she changed her mind again and decided to come. And so then September 11th happened, and
Right.
that was like a huge event. And I feel, because you've told me this, that there was a kind of survivor's guilt about coming down here so soon after
Yeah,
that
yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, she came, thank God, because we were all down here and wanted her to be near. And I brought her into Live Arts and introduced her to John Gibson, and the rest is
The
history.
rest is
as they
history.
say. Because really, he asked her to do what eventually became the Actors Lab, which was, I think, the beginning of the education department at Live Arts. And she created the Actors Lab. And as a teacher, she encouraged everyone that she was teaching to audition for shows, not to worry about getting cast, but just to have the experience of auditioning.
Yeah.
And so many people have gone on to do shows that probably never would have done that if she hadn't said, just go audition. So I think that's a real gift, Mom. I think that you
sweetie. It's so
have given
nice.
to a lot of people.
Totally agree.
Then he also, I guess, talked to her about the Reader's Circle, or it was her idea. I'm not quite sure. And you're not quite sure, are you? No, she's not quite sure.
I know Bill Gray said he'd done something like that up at Harvard.
Oh, well, if it was done at Harvard, it had to be done at Live Arts. So basically, Carol created and curated the Reader's Circle
Reader's
for many
Circle.
years. And
It was a way of getting more people involved that weren't able to commit the time or to be talented enough to be cast in a show, but nevertheless to have the experience of participating in bringing a show to life.
that's right. And it continues to this day.
Yes, it does.
So she was a teacher, but then she instantly became indispensable as, wait for it, a dramaturg. Who knows what that is? So my mother is of the old school of what a dramaturg is. And would you like to help us understand that?
A dramaturg is the person who actually should be sitting next to the director. Yes, all during rehearsals or whatever, but also who would be much more understanding of the structure of a play and the directions that the director might not see how the play is put together, whereas a dramaturg should be much more involved in understanding how the play is put together, what matters, where's the climax, what do the relationships mean in terms of the development of the play. Lots of directors don't know.
No, yeah, they don't.
But a dramaturg, and I was fortunate to have been schooled well in this kind of thing, and I loved doing it, can help a director enormously, you know.
And that's really interesting. And so I think that a lot of people went to Mom as a resource to understand things that maybe they didn't. And she was always gracious, always gave information, always was willing to sit in a rehearsal and offer feedback. And so she was often the acting coach, or the
Yes.
vocal coach who does not remember do, did, deep. We can all stand up and say that at the end. She did
High
dialogue,
time.
and she is most importantly an enophile. Woo! Okay.
Yes, all right. Oh, sorry.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
But she was also a huge supporter of effort and the creative effort that people made. And I think that was a real gift for everybody who's ever worked with her.
So yeah, I've had the pleasure several times to have Carol in my corner, and the one I remember most is for Tartuffe. We had 2 lead actors bow out really late in the process, and I got stepped up into this role, and it was me and Carol in rehearsal B, learning my lines.
Yep.
So
Yep. And she's a real stickler for lines.
Yes,
If nobody knows that, you don't deviate from what the playwright has asked you
that's
to say.
right. You don't make it up in your own words.
That's right.
nope. Gotta
Anyway,
respect the writer.
exactly.
So, well, very good. Tell you what, let's get started in the slideshow.
Yes, indeed.
Lovely to see you.
We're going to come back.
Oh, good.
Here we go. Part 2
Yep.
of
And
Angels in America.
Mom was the assistant director on this.
There's Christina Courtney directed, and you'll see Brie Luck's first show. She replaced Jen Tidwell, for those of you who watched last night, because Jen Tidwell was very pregnant. So Brie stepped up. And all of these folks were in part 1. That was part of the deal that you got when you got cast. You did the whole kit and caboodle. So really amazing folks. Mindy
Yep.
St. Hours flying in.
Flying in out of the Angel Loft.
Yes. That's a wonderful memory.
Yep. It is a wonderful memory.
Beautiful show. There's Chris Patrick in the lower right. Amde.
David Holton. and
David
Kay-
Holton.
Kay Ferguson as Ethel in the back lurking over Roy.
Oh, that's right. Suburbia was the next show up in the Founders.
Yep.
We have a John Cobb and we have a Mark Valhovic.
And there's Paul Cook, who became very active.
Yep, he was active for a while. And that
Adrian
nice pair of
Oliver.
legs over there on the left, that's Adrian Oliver.
Yep. The garden gnome is moving in. We can see.
He's in
Whoops.
too.
Um,
Oh my gosh.
And Nathan Beatty.
That's right, up there.
Yep. Mark and Adrian. Yep. Who was that? Davin Rossborough? Was that young
I
man?
think so. This is a show I did not see. Oh, bad girl.
Well, I did see it, and it was interesting. It was all the slides that brought it back to me,
Programs.
which is why people should chronicle their theatrical events, because it is really ephemeral.
It totally is. Sarah Tisdale,
Yep.
Alexi Gibson,
Yep.
Paul Cook.
Isha Pandya.
Yep. Davin Rosborough. Is that who that is on the guitar?
I don't know. I don't remember the play,
I don't remember.
Eric
Sorry.
Pedersen.
Sorry, guys.
but it had guns and a garden gnome and Paul Cook. He began it. I mean, it was at the beginning and the end of this season.
Oh, that's right. Wintertime by Charles Mee. Charles Mee is an interesting playwright in that he just puts all his stuff out there for you to use, no royalties attached, and you can mess with it as much as you want. He wants it to be experimental theater. I was in this, directed by Betsy Tucker, and you got Jerry Shermer and Cindy Burke, Harold Langsam, Brett Wilson, a bleach blonde Gary Warwick White,
John Cobb, the pizza delivery man, in his jumpsuit.
and this jumps pizza delivery and minister.
Uh-huh. Of course he is.
Very fun. There's me and Jerry.
Uh-huh.
Jerry and I were the lesbian couple next door.
Well, I like Gary's hat.
Yep. Matt, who was throwing that chair down, he was a UVA student. He was wonderful. There's the door.
There's the door slam, which
The
Mary.
door. There were 2 fights in the show, and one of them was a door slamming scene where literally everybody but like me and Jerry just
Lesbians don't slam doors.
evidently we don't. And just this door slamming thing. I remember, I think Grady was able to figure out how to roll a door out so that it wouldn't roll and stabilize it so it wouldn't roll all over during the door slams. It was a very, very funny scene.
And Marianne Kubik choreographed it, right?
She did. I had sore hips from the samba, man.
And the director insisted that the door be there before Tech Week, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It helps to have those moving parts.
These moving parts.
Yep.
Oh,
This is the funeral of someone we think is passed, turns out not. And Gary Warwick White is wearing the flashy trench coat. It's from the J-Lo collection at Kmart. Really. John Gibson did the costumes for this, so it really is from the J-Lo collection. And his
So
shiny leather pants.
And why is Harold wearing a fez?
Because John Gibson did the costume.
Did he come in a tiny car too?
No.
Great. That would have been very Charles Lee. That was great.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
This is directed by someone named Boomie Pedersen.
And it was dramaturged by someone named Carol Pedersen.
And look at those big underwears.
Look at that. It was every night Paul Cook, who, God bless him, was my stage manager. He's sitting over there on the left in his Live Arts t-shirt. He would stand up, and I have this image of him standing up and holding up the underpants as he told the audience that one lucky person had a pair of underpants, those underpants, in fact, under their chair, and they got something if they had them. I don't remember what they got.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Mortification, probably. Oh, that was an amazing show. Can I just tell a tiny story about the underpants?
Oh, yeah, do.
So so my mother was the dramaturg. Okay, and this was one of those, I was asked at one point earlier about family disagreements. And I have to say this show was probably one of those shows, but I'm not going there. I just want to talk about the casting process. So Alex Citron was originally cast as Teo, and he was fabulous, but he got very, very sick and had to drop out.
Yeah.
And so he was Teo, and Doug Schneider was cast as Cohn, the Jew, the tailor. He didn't get the part. He couldn't get the part. We had endless conversations about why he didn't get the part. So when Alex had to drop out, it was very sad, but I suddenly thought, let's see what happens if Doug does that part. It was like a glove. He slipped right into it, and suddenly he understood the part. So then I had to find a Cohen. So Michael Volpendesta is someone that I knew from Charlottesville and the CNO, and I was walking down the mall one day, and I ran into him, and I said, will you come read for me, please? Anyway, he read for Cohen. He was the funniest, lankiest, Bill Irwin-esque person I have ever encountered. And night after night after night, he would make Doug laugh. And
he was the best.
Incredible.
That was the first time I'd ever seen him. That's Michael with the nice, lovely, grimaced face here in the headlock.
That's right.
Who was just in the Tigers Be Still. But anyway, he did that wonderful physical bit. The set went all the way up. It had a couple levels because it was a rooming house. And he chased, you can kind of see it up there, this note all the way, juggled it all the way down the steps to the main thing. And it was one of the funniest things I have ever seen on stage.
And the other thing before we leave this slide is, so the door all the way to the stage left there, no, that's stage right. Sorry, I haven't been on stage in a while. No.
House left.
What?
House
No,
left.
backwards. So that was the bedroom for Teo and his wife. And there was a scene where Teo had to go up and knock on the door, and the wife opens the door. The wife is Catherine Ogden, sitting in the pink dress there at the table, looking completely demure, which she really was. So Doug goes up, he knocks on the door, she opens the door, she looks at him, she bursts into laughter, and she goes, I'm so sorry. And she closes the door and exits. And Doug is standing there. The scene has gone nowhere. He doesn't know what to do. And it's like, oh my God, this is an equity actress. What the fuck is she doing? Sorry. Anyway, did I just say that? No, I didn't. Anyway, it was very funny, but the whole show was like that. And people would come to see who would break first and who could make Doug laugh. In fact, there was one night where Michael followed him all the way around the set, and Doug had no idea because he'd gotten up to move away because he couldn't stop laughing. And he thought he was free, and he turned around and there was Michael. It was all over. It was really funny.
It's awesome.
It was a great show. We laughed a lot.
It was very fun.
It's Grace Jordan, who, God bless her, conquered her vertigo to come down the stairs from the angel loft to the first floor, night after night after night. That was such a triumph for her. And there's Ron Heller with the cane, staving off the underpants.
Underpants.
I think that was one of the last shows Ron did.
It may be, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Catherine moved away after this too, didn't she? Or some. Anyway, the Dazzle.
Oh, the Dazzle.
What a fun show this was. Up in the Founders, formerly the Upstage.
Ray Netzel with hair. Oh my God.
All kinds of people with hair. Directed by John Gibson, and we got Ray Netzel. That's Ray Netzel right in front of John Gibson, for those of you who can't figure out who he is.
And you know who's sitting in front of Ray that's Catherine Stolzenbach. And I
Oh
don't
my
know
God.
if anybody knows, she was a very talented playwright, and she died tragically from an infection. It was horrible.
That's right.
but
Oh my gosh. And there's
really
Fran and Phyllisser and Kristen Keithley.
And Beth Neville Beth, what was her name? Beth,
Here,
oh gosh. I don't have but she used to work all the time.
Yeah,
Right?
she
Beth, is
did.
her name?
It is her name, and I'm looking in my I
She had
can't
long hair.
I can't see it in my notes here. So, but anyway,
Oversight.
Grady
Fran.
designed the set, and the guys are kind of hoarders, and there was a really neat effect right at the end where it looks like it's all going to collapse on them, and all the stuff just came in and froze, and they blacked out. It was a really cool effect.
Awesome. Fran looking beautiful in her wedding gown.
Isn't that a wonderful shot?
Mm-hmm. Peekaboo, Ray. Ray with the oranges.
Awesome. It was a really
I think Ray
interesting.
Netzel loves props. He likes to do unexpected things with props. I have a story about a bunch of yellow roses, but I'll save that.
All right, our next big event, show, musical, Evita, directed by Stephen Louis.
Stephen Levine, and it was Shannon's first show.
Yeah, Shannon in the
There's
back
Shannon in
row.
the back row.
And there's Marty.
I'm sorry, I heard my name.
Hi,
Hi,
Shannon.
Shannon.
Hi, guys. First of all, cheers.
Oh,
Cheers.
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 Mm.
And second of all, do you guys mind if I come in for this? I
No,
picked
no,
this
no. You
night.
have
We're in
more
the show. Come on.
personal information about the show than we do.
I picked this night for a reason. This was my first show at Live Arts. And so cool because so many of the people who you see in this picture, when I moved back to Charlottesville in 2017, were in Ragtime with me. Jeff Dreyfus, Chris Estes. It was kind of amazing. Daphne and Maddie's daughter.
Oh, that's right. Mirabelle was in it.
Mirabelle. So, I mean, it was just kind of an amazing moment. It was Jenna Brown's first show. It was Mary Blanton's first show. I ended up babysitting for her kids, and now her kids go to the school I work at. So it's a pretty amazing full circle. It was a lot of fun. So let's see what's next.
Is that, wait, is that
Oh.
Bobby Buxton down in the front?
Is that what?
Was that Bobby Buxton down in the front kneeling?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Bobby.
I love that. I love this picture. This was mourners over Evita's grave, and you can see Jeff Dreyfus up there at the top. And one of the really cool things that Stephen did, he did a lot of cool things for the show, was to use vintage photos and newsreel and footage that then was projected, and you can vaguely see the projection behind Jeff onto the stage throughout the show. There's a lot of play with light and shadow, some of which I can't show you, some of which was really racy for the time. I'll just say that much. Evita and her There Was No One Lover scene has maybe was a little bit closer to R than PG-13. I know. And here is Evita. And the first picture, that's a new Argentina. That was the close of Act 1. And Evita was played by Marley. Yeah, Marley. She was Del DiCetto then. She's now Caden. I actually still keep, in touch with her, if that's a thing, through Facebook. She's in Chicago now. But yeah, she was a UVA student like me. And I think this was her only show.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then on the right there are Rolling Stairs. We were known for Rolling Stairs for whatever reason.
Oh, wait, you mean these?
Oh, wow.
Live Arts loves a rolling staircase.
So is that the staircase that's up by the prop loft?
Yep.
Yep, it is.
Yes.
Same one.
Yep.
Yes. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but if you look at the bottom of the stairs, Jenna Brown was pregnant during this, or became pregnant during the show and during the run. And so you can kind of get a hint there of, I don't even know which baby it was. Her second?
Wow.
It must have been. Yes, it must have been.
It was number 2.
Yeah, Olivia is her second. I don't know. Jenna, correct me later. But it was a very fun show. That staircase rolled around. Marley rolled around on that staircase throughout the show. And then, of course, we had staircases in Ragtime, and Live Arts loves a staircase and some climbing. We climbed that scaffolding up and down the entire course of the show. I could never do it now, but somehow we managed.
That's a very tall wall back there. There's climbing of something involved in any show that's in that space.
Yes, you go up to a second level.
Backstage. Yep.
Yeah, you're either going up the staircase or you're climbing a scaffolding.
Right.
All right, guys, I should probably go back to my job before someone yells at me.
Oh, okay.
Well, cheers one more time.
One more time.
Cheers. I'm not drinking your job, y'all.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Far Away.
Oh, here we go. Far
Little
Away.
Carol Churchill, directed by
Betsy Tucker. Yep.
This was in the upstage. We have a Rhonda Hewitt. And
Yep.
there's Kay Ferguson. I don't know all these people.
Well, is this the one that has Bob Dorsey?
Yep, that's Bob Dorsey.
Yep. And
Mara
Mara
Malloy
Malloy.
is the other woman.
Yep. And
That's Beatrice. Is that Beatrice? Or is that Mara, the little girl?
young Joan, that would be Beatrice.
That's Beatrice, yeah.
Look at Rhonda. Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, Rhonda. So this involved a parade of convicts at the end wearing all these outlandish hats. Oh, there we go.
So let me just interject that the convicts, the parade was supposed to somehow bring to mind Guantanamo, that was going on at this time. And so I just want to say that one of the things that's kind of interesting about Betsy's career with Carol Churchill is it's very meaty in the political world. And Betsy is not afraid to put that out there. And I think that's really terrific. So this was one of those plays.
So wait, this is just a sample of some of the headpieces and the hats. Some of the more elaborate ones were actually auctioned off at the next gala. And just to give people an idea of how we had to do this.
Oh my God, talk about running around.
Talk about running around. They needed a handful, I think it was like 5 or 6 people each night during the run of the show. You dressed in gray, you can see there's like a black mask over your face, and then you put this headpiece on. There were so many headpieces though, you had to make 2, maybe 3 trips around, and then you started up in the costume shop, ran down to the lobby on the 3rd floor, paraded across, stopped and posed, paraded out the door to the outdoors, ran upstairs to the costume shop, got another hat, and did the same old thing over and over. One night we had someone show up, and we ended up running, running because we needed extra space. My very favorite, you could sign up for whatever night you want. That was the interesting thing. And Cindy Burke made my favorite comment. She goes, "Oh, I don't have to rehearse. I can come when I want to. I like this." So, but it was fun. It was interesting. It was a beautiful, beautiful show.
Yep.
Yay! This is such a beautiful, this is a collaboration with Zen Monkey Project.
Mhm.
There were 2 movement pieces, rope and moment and flight. And this is the whole ensemble. Rob Petrus there, the taller bald guy, Grady Smith on the left, and 2 different women did this piece, the rope piece with them. Let me see if I can find the names. Oh la la. It was either Pam England or Jacqueline Gerard, and I don't remember by looking at this picture who's who. There's a really cute little Daryl over there on the right.
That's right. And talk about, climbing the walls. This was an amazing piece because it totally integrated the space.
The whole space, right? So these are some pictures from rope, and they literally, these ropes were, anchored up in the light loft, and they swung and hung, and it was amazing.
It's really interesting. That's Rob hanging there, right?
That's Rob on the left, yeah.
So he calls to mind the Japanese Buto group called Sankai Juku, and their signature was hanging upside down from a building on rope. So I wonder if there's something very Japanese about that. The underpants and just the whole thing. So I wonder if there was any influence. It's really interesting.
It's possible, yeah, totally possible. All right, and this is a moment of flight, and as you can see, this is down in the Gibson, and they totally did these slightly raked walls, and these people, not on ropes or wires, flew up and down and around, very acrobatic.
Pure momentum. It was theatrical parkour.
Yep, it was amazing. It was really beautiful.
There's Daryl.
Yeah.
Hi, Daryl.
Hi, Daryl.
That's great. Oh, Raisin in the Sun.
Raisin in the Sun, directed by Sacha Zenga. This was just a really phenomenal, well done show. Right there in the front, Winter.
Yay, Winter.
Little Winter.
All
And right behind him is Allison. Remember her last name? I'm having a hard time. Crawford. She was amazing as Mama. And that's Rochelle there on our right.
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman who played Walter Lee, Ebenezer Quay, he was a UVA student, if I remember correctly, and he was really wonderful in this. And you see Ray Smith there in the back with the hat in front of the fridge.
Where's Chris Esty?
Chris Esty.
Oh, there he is.
He was the bad guy.
Yes, he was.
He's the bad guy. But it was just a really beautiful show.
Yeah, it was. Oh, and there's Amde.
Amde, who we got to see last night.
That's right. So what was really interesting about this is that when they did Clybourne Park, there was a real connection with what this had started, which I thought was really nice. And the story about why Bruce Norris allowed Live Arts to do the show because of Satch's connection with Raisin in the Sun. And I think that's right. Wonderful. Oh, dancing away. There they are.
If I remember correctly, Allison had a really, really wonderful moment right at the end of the show where she plucked this little plant off her table to carry with her to the new house. And she didn't just pick it up gently. She snatched it like, I'm out of here. I'm going to my new house. I remember that moment really vividly. Very nice. And then
there's Paul Cook looking so sweet and innocent.
So sweet and innocent. And like, this just gives you an idea of the breadth of stuff that we do at Live Arts, because this is a period comedy.
And I just would like to interject, Fran directed this and Carol Pedersen was the vocal and dialect coach.
Oh, and look at that lovely Carol there on the right in her blue jacket and shirt and blouse. Very nice.
And there's Joni Schatzman next to Carol. And,
yeah.
And Michael Swanberg and Bill Williamson. Oh,
my God.
Yeah, all the way over there in the powdered wig on the left.
Yep. Wow. And I believe Jen Downey is in this. Yep, there she is.
Yeah, she is. She's like behind the lady in white there in the front.
Ringlets. Yep.
I'm trying to remember who else is in this. Oh, it says Rhonda's in it. Oh yeah, there's Rhonda.
In the front.
Well, that's Rhonda kind of behind Corey Joe.
Oh, that's right, behind her. That's right.
That's behind Corey Joe. Yeah.
Right.
I'm looking at the program because I'm cheating.
Oh, good. Accuracy at all costs. There's Ginger McCarthy. Hi, Ginger.
McCarthy.
Meow. That's so wonderful. So that's a really nice use of the angel loft. I have
Yeah.
it really, the moments of success when that can be integrated into the set and look like it actually makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
Fabulous.
Who did the set for this? Let me check and see who did the set.
Marie Howard. I saw it first.
Yeah, Murray Howard, yeah. Oh, lights by Ro Halpin.
Yay, Ro! And costumes by John Owen, of course.
Yeah. Lovely.
Yep. And
Summer Theater Festival.
I have to say, I really miss those.
I did too. I wish we could get them to work. You'll notice there's some locally written things. There's some established things. You can see the Complete History of America abridged there.
Yep.
And what this was is we ran a bunch of these things in rep over a 2 to 3 week period in both the upstage and the downstage, or the Gibson and the Founders, depending on when you came into the institution.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried to keep it going from 609 for a couple of years, but it was one of those things where this building wasn't as conducive, I think, because we don't have a courtyard that we can spill out in and have
That
a beverage.
courtyard, the
Yeah.
courtyard was amazing.
So
And also
this was
because everything, so I've been thinking about this a lot, how architecture really influences the feeling of a space in terms of its accessibility. And so having the courtyard, there was never a sense of claustrophobia because you could always be outside and then you could immediately access where you needed to be on the same level. And so it was not confusing. And it also helped flow with this sort of stuff. So
yeah, exactly. Totally. So
Yeah.
this is one of our summer festival posters.
that was, oh, there we
Oh,
go.
look at that.
I'm going to use this moment to correct a piece of revisionist history that occurred a couple of nights ago in Bill Ruff's presentation, when he said, not once, not twice, but 3 times, that I was so pregnant during Buried Child, I almost missed the last rehearsal. It was, in fact, this show, which was 3 Tall Women in 1999, because I didn't have any pregnancies in 2000. In fact, I had one after this. It was Lawrence, but this is JD, and yeah. So I'm just correcting that.
Yep. And so just that's Karen Hanley on the left.
Yeah, who was in Buried Child?
Who's in Barry Town, and then Boomie and JD.
Me and JD, my own JD.
Yeah.
And
Cindy Burke and Cindy Burke's Head.
Yep.
And Emily
Lyman.
This is a wonderful show.
Yep. They were actually 3 tall women, and they were wonderful. They were
So,
fabulous.
well, that slide brings me to a really interesting question, which we kind of touched on the other night, was working with family. You've had the opportunity, Boomie, you've had your kids, your mom, and some of them have,
And Jay, my husband.
and Jay, oh God, yeah, and Jay, yeah. So how positive, negative, in between, both sides of the sword?
Anything to say about working with family?
I think it's a treasure.
I mean, it is a treasure. It's also not without difficulties.
Sure.
And it is one of the best teachers of taking a deep breath and letting it sit in and not reacting immediately to what's going on. And it has been a real gift for me to have something to do with Mom, like throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now we still do it. We talk about things. She was there for all of the rehearsals and performances, the Book of Will. So I think it's really terrific. And it's Emma, my daughter, and Mom and I who have done the most onstage stuff. My son August was TD briefly before Jeremy came on. So Jay and I actually, and I was thinking about this, we met doing a show together in which I played his mother, his girlfriend, his sister. Anyway, that was a Peter Ryan show. But he has become a major collaborator because we often work, he'll do sets and I will direct, and we have a shorthand. And I think that's really something that is uncommon. And so you get to say, okay, this is what I'm thinking, and boom, there it is in 3 dimensions. And that's really wonderful.
That is
And it's actually, Mom, she's fabulous to work with. She is so persnickety sometimes about like the quarter inch that something is off, and I'll just go, it's a quarter inch. And she'll go, it's a quarter inch, so I'll move it. You know, it's that kind of thing. And she's right usually. I mean,
Off is off.
the difference. Yeah, no, and we had some fights. We had some good fights about the underpants. In fact, I remember you storming out of rehearsal once.
I didn't.
Yes, you did, but
Oh,
that's
I
all right.
You're all stormed.
Yes, she can get really irate. And
I have to.
see, you have to. But I just, I was thinking about casting, and I just wanted to have one quick, I know you're probably on a time limit. Do we-
No.
Okay. So, I did want to put in a plug for, I realized that there was one year when my daughter, so there used to be Latte House, and there used to be the teen shows.
Yep.
So there was a summer or a time when Emma and Finney were both in the Latte House, and Sam was one of the board ops. So that's 3 of my kids.
There you
There was
go.
Christmas Carol where I was Scrooge and Sam and Finney were both in it. There was the year where Emma assistant directed the whole Latte House, and then directed later on The Actor's Nightmare for the Summer Theater Festival.
Right.
So it's like really fun to watch my kids grow into this. And I never pushed them. I never said, you have to do this. The only one who has stuck with it is Emma.
Is
The
that
other
all? Yeah.
ran from the hills, except for August, whose interest is really in the technical side of things, and he's still doing sound design and stuff like that. So I think that's fabulous.
That's fabulous.
But what I was going to say about casting, and this occurs to me that this is an opportunity that you get in a community theater like Live Arts, is, you go in to cast a show and you have something in mind, and then that never shows up because it's community theater.
Yep.
So as a director, you sort of have to go, oh, well, let me rethink this. And I think that is a real possibility. And the thing that I'm thinking most of is with Buried Child, when I had to cast an 18-year-old and I think Vince is 22, something like that. Shelley is 18, Vince is 22, and nobody who could even approach the language of the script showed up to audition, except Catherine Ogden and Ray Netzel. And they were both closer to 40 than 18. And I remember calling them both up saying, I am so sorry, I can't cast you because you're just way too old. A day later, I called them both back and I said, you know what, you're the only ones who can do these parts. Would you please mind coming and doing them? And I think that was really fabulous. And it sort of liberated me from this whole age thing.
Yeah.
And anybody who knows me now knows that I tend to gravitate toward projects that include older actors. And a lot of that comes from Paul Wagner's film, The Grand Generation, which is about craftspeople. And there was an interview with a woman who was a quilter, I believe, and she was asked what it's like to talk to people who are younger, who might not understand. And she said, I've been that old. I've been 7, I've been 14, I've been 20, I've been 32. I can talk to anybody because I've lived through it. And it's such a great perspective that it's so much easier to lose sight of the fact that older actors can remember what that was like, as opposed to younger actors who have no idea what
To
that's
make it up.
Exactly. So I think that the whole opportunity of casting in community theater, it's fabulous. So there you have it.
Yeah, I always said that when I'm working as a producer to the director, because a lot of directors going, I need this person and this person. I was like, you're not going to get this person.
That's right.
You have to be flexible enough and literally play the cards you're dealt.
Exactly.
And you sometimes end up with the most amazing things if you just open yourself up and take the chance.
There's one other Buried Child talking about taking chances. So Sandy McAdams, who is a national treasure.
Right.
So Sandy McAdams auditioned for Buried Child. And so I cast him and he said, my health is not great. I may not be able to do this. And I said, you know what, Sandy, let's just assume that it's fine for now. And if it's not, we'll deal with it. So I don't remember how far into the process we were when he finally said, I just can't do this anymore.
It was at least half, if I remember correctly.
I think it was actually on the second half of the half. It was coming closer to production. And so Bill Williamson stepped into the role, but to have had Sandy in that role for a while and then have Bill Williamson was amazing. And, they did what they could do, but you like you say, you roll with the punches. And so Same thing happened with Play About the Baby. I lost my lead actor 2 weeks before we opened, and Chris Ballmer stepped in and learned the part like that. I said,
Well,
maybe it was even less than 2 weeks. I said, you can do it with the book. He showed up off book. It's like,
yeah, you know that Chris Patrick and Chris Ballmer both do that.
yes.
It's very irritating. They were just, Well, we have one more little fun thing to watch from the
Okay.
Underpants. If you remember, Paul Wagner, our Oscar-winning documentarian who lives in the area, big supporter of live arts, shot a commercial for the Underpants, and we actually have a clip of that. And Michael Horan.
Look at that.
My husband is not back yet.
You must have some authority.
Oh, would you like to know the rate?
No,
Oh, would you like to see the room?
that's not necessary.
Would go into the room without seeing it?
Yes,
Why?
because your underpants. This morning on the Grand Boulevard.
Oh my God!
That is so fast.
Yay.
That was wonderful.
So that's the kind of show the Underpants was for those.
Yep, it was. It was. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
It was really wonderful. And it was really wonderful spending the evening with Boomie and Carol. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you
our
so much
pleasure.
for having us.
Yes.
One last toast.
Oh, bravo.
Here's to the creative, collaborative spirit.
Yes.
Very much so. Love you both. Thanks for joining us.
Love you.
Thank you.
All righty. And I have a little follow-up from last night. You'll recall that the Madwoman Project issued a challenge that the project would match up to $10,000 in donations for this 24-hour period. And then that wacky founder, Thane Kerner, issued a match during the hour that the thing was on last night. And the total so far that we raised last night, $36,400.
Wow.
Thank you, Live Arts supporters. That's just amazing. And I'm sure there'll be some more trickling in because that's how things happen when people write checks and mail them. So I'm verklempt. It's just so wonderful that you support us in this way. So thank you, everybody out there. That's just amazing. And tomorrow night, 2005 and 2006 season, and our guest will be the lovely Rochelle Claiborne.
Woo!
Join us tomorrow night. So enjoy your Friday evening. Again, thank you, Boomie Carol. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Whoa.